everybody, and welcome to Appalachia Matters. This is our first installment of Appalachia Matters, a show about how we can inspire STEM in our region, because we are all about science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. We have a very special guest with us today, Luke Glaser. Luke is an educator and community leader here in Hazard and in the Appalachian region. He came from Teach for America back in 2013, and thankfully has stayed with us since. So being a teacher and community leader in our area, you have made a big impact in our community.
Thank you.
So we are so glad to have you here today.
Well, it's cool to be on, and I didn't know this was the first one, so that's really neat. Flattered, honored.
So tell us a little bit about yourself. What inspired you to become an educator?
So education was never really my first plan. I just wanted to learn a little bit more. I'm from Louisville originally, and I wanted to learn a little bit more about Appalachia. It's part of our state, but it's a place that not a whole lot of people from Louisville get to. So Teach for America is a program that brings people into regions where they need teachers to teach for 2 years, and it was just a really good fit. I love what I do, and so I'm now 9 years into my 2-year commitment. What inspired me to be an educator was educating. Doing my 2-year stint and then realizing that it's what I was supposed to be doing and that you can actually be an incredible leader from the classroom.
Yeah. So I know a lot of teachers that I've had always had some kind of teaching philosophy. So do you have one?
My teaching philosophy is so I teach high school.
Yeah.
And you're not quite adults yet, but you're close. And adults always want to know why they're learning something, right? Why am I sitting here in this room learning this thing? So my teaching philosophy is every student who leaves my classroom should be able to answer that question. Why do we learn calculus? Why do we learn pre-calculus? Why do we learn literature? And after that, the rest of the pieces will fall into place. If they can answer their why, I think that they'll be a lot more inspired to try hard, to succeed, and to take what they learn in that classroom and apply it to whatever they choose to do with their lives.
Absolutely. And you said you teach high school students, right?
I do.
So normally, STEM is really intriguing for elementary school.
Yeah.
And then once you start getting older, it's kind of lacking interest. So how do you keep your students engaged in STEM?
So I think the reason that happens is, one of the problems is that when you're a young kid at elementary school learning about, science, math, there's a lot of exploration, there's a lot of creativity. Here at the Challenger Center, most of your groups are young kids.
Oh, yes.
We kind of lose that once you get kids into high school. It's less the explore the way the world ticks and learn this math concept.
Yeah.
And learn that the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell and that there's a lot of different parts of the cell. So my first answer to that is that I think we need to find creative ways to allow high school students and even college students to regain some of that exploratory mindset, to kind of peek under the hood and see what makes the world tick. The second answer to that question is that math and science are all about solving problems, right? That's what you do. You solve, that's what you get for homework in math class. You go home and solve these 10 problems, right? Ultimately, the best humans in the world, regardless of what profession they have, solve problems, right? Why is it that poverty exists? How do we get someone to the moon? Those are ultimately problems that need to be solved. And so what we're doing in math and what we're doing in science classrooms is we're training our minds how to solve problems. And that's what I talk to kids about, right? You're not just learning exponential properties because, very few of us are actually going to use the exponent property. You will, because you're going to be an engineer, but very few of us are going to use exponent properties when we grow up in our professional career. But you will solve problems regardless of what you do with your life. And so learning how to do that in a math classroom is actually giving you the skills and the abilities that you're going to need for the rest of your life.
Absolutely. And I know we've talked a lot about, inspiring students, but how do you, if you had to give some advice to teachers, how would you get them to get their classrooms engaged in STEM?
Well, most teachers have been doing this longer than I have, so I don't know if I would be so bold as to give anyone advice. But I guess in my own experience, it's that it's hard to get math and science teachers here. It's really easy to get English and history teachers in Appalachia. It's harder to get science and math teachers. Why is that? I'm not sure. I don't know the answer to that question, but I think that we really need to inspire our math and science teachers and constantly tell them that the work that they're doing is so important, and that what they're putting out into the world is our problem solvers and the future leaders. And it's not it's not the boring classes. It's not the classes that nobody wants to go to. It can be the exciting classes. It can be the teachers that, when a kid graduates, they say, my favorite teacher was my math teacher. My favorite teacher was my science teacher. And so, like any teacher, it is not just our job to educate. It is not just our job to educate. It is our job to inspire.
Absolutely.
And so I would not so much give them the advice so much as encourage them to continue inspiring.
Absolutely. And so we talked a lot about the school systems and things like that, but do you think it's possible, being a community leader, of getting our community inspired in STEM, not just our high school age students or students in general, but really just our overall community?
Interesting. Well, if you go to a city council meeting and you ask them to solve, factor a trinomial, not too many of them are still going to be able to do that. So it's not, I think that we just need to be able to connect what kids learn in the classroom to how they're going to become, the future leaders of their communities.
Absolutely.
Right? Why is Raegan going to be a civic engineer? Why is her going to do that, going to transform the community that she's from or wherever she chooses to live? And why is it critical for us as city and community and county leaders to 100% support you in that?
Absolutely.
Right? There's not a whole lot of engineering firms in Appalachia, right? I think we have one here. But, most kids, they don't see that in their day-to-day, and most community leaders don't necessarily see that in their day-to-day. So I think that we need to reinforce this idea that what you're doing is going to be so, so important, and it's just as important as what anybody else is doing, and that we're behind you 100%.
Absolutely. And going off of what you said about that, obviously I'm a member of the STEAM team, and that's something that works, thank you. That's an internship under Challenger Learning Center. And so, obviously, you know a lot about Challenger here. How do you think we're affecting our community when it comes to STEM?
Oh my gosh, if you ask any high school kid, or even college kid, or even young parent right now, like some of their best memories from school, and particularly like science and math, they will talk about the Challenger Center. Every kid in this county and the surrounding counties has gone through this at some point. And I remember the first time I came in, I was shocked that this existed. I'd seen the little rocket painting on the outside of the building, but I had never been in here. And so what Challenger does, I think, that schools can't necessarily do or that they do it in conjunction with schools rather, is ignite that flame.
Absolutely.
Right? There's the famous movie October Sky, which we've all seen.
Yes.
And the reality is that those kids that get that initial idea and want to do something like that probably get that spark somewhere in one of these rooms.
Absolutely.
And what we do in the schools probably couldn't happen. It would not happen as effectively if the Challenger Center were not here doing the work they're doing.
Absolutely. And so, do you have any words of encouragement for STEM educators in our area?
Educators?
Yes.
Don't be afraid to try things. Don't be afraid to fail in coming up with crazy ideas. In my math classes, we often talk about community problems, and connecting those two things can be a challenging idea, and I'm blessed to have administrators that allow me to do that. But my theory is that if we talk to kids about the problems that exist in this area, they'll be more inclined to see math as a channel to solve those problems.
Absolutely.
And so, that's just something I've tried and I've had some success with. So, don't be afraid. Math is very structured. Science is very structured. You have these objectives and you have to hit A, B, C, D, and E. Don't be afraid to take a little detour from A before you get to B, and you might be surprised at what that can do for kids.
Absolutely. And we'll throw a little wild card question.
That's fine.
So,
It depends on the question.
Oh my goodness. So being a STEM educator,
yes,
obviously I know in a lot of the school systems here, STEM doesn't really get the funding that it needs. I know a lot of experiments and things you guys do to engage high school students is something that's hard to acquire. So what would you kind of recommend for teachers who's wanting to get these engaging experiments out to these kids but don't necessarily have the funding for it?
Oh, that's a great question. So the first thing is to be creative, right? One of the things they talk about these days is, oh, we don't have any money for textbooks. Oh, we don't have any money for textbooks. Yeah. You got the internet. You've got every worksheet in the world you could ever want there. So, don't be afraid to think about outside the box to get what you need. The second thing I would say is that we do have quite a few channels of funding and support. So, for example, right now, Berea's Partners for Education, that grant, they're everywhere and they're willing to help. So they sent us to Engineering Day at the University of Kentucky,
yes,
for
I've
example.
Heard about that.
You will be working that.
Oh.
So we're excited to see you in the next couple of years. But, look for the people who are willing to help. There's almost always going to, if you've got an idea that you're really passionate about, I really want to take my kids to UK to explore the College of Engineering. I really want to go to the Math Museum in New York. If you have a why, circling back, if you have your why and you're really excited about it, you will be able to find somebody who wants to support that dream. So if you're doing it for your kids, if you're doing it for our future leaders and our future STEM people, then it's worth going out there and putting it all out to try to figure that out.
Absolutely. And so do you have any final words of encouragement for your students?
Oh, so much. Keep trying. Don't be afraid to mess up. Don't be afraid to fail. One of my favorite statistics is the average person will make, I think it's 10,000 mistakes before they learn a language. And math at the end of the day is a language. Mm-hmm. You have to learn how to speak that language and then apply that to the larger problems you're going to see. So, for students, don't be afraid to make mistakes. For teachers, don't be afraid to allow students to make mistakes and figure out creative ways that we can actually grade them and support them through those mistakes that they're making, because what we're ultimately doing when we make mistakes is we're learning. And that's the end goal.
Oh, I love that. So, and I also like to let everyone know that the Challenger Learning Center of Kentucky is excited to launch our new and improved center this fall to the students. And we're expected new exhibits, new technologies, new everything. And as a STEAM team member, I get to see all the cool installations, and I can tell you, you're going to be excited too.
They just walked me through everything, actually. It's all under construction. It looks very cool.
It's a little wild trying to walk back here and work with all the construction going on, but I can say it's going to be definitely worth it. It's absolutely incredible what they're making back there. So, Luke, it looks like that's all the time we have today, but thank you for taking time to join us.
Always happy to talk about education and STEM. Thanks for having me on.
No problem. And thank you for joining us in Appalachia Matters. I'm Raegan Francis, and this is Luke Glaser, and until next time, keep learning and keep inspiring STEM.